Hi, welcome back to the show. I'm here with Gavin Pickin, the ContentBox evangelist at Ortus Solutions, and we're going to be talking about all things ContentBox today. So we're going to look at why you want to use it and what you'd use it for, and we'll look at the new API that's coming out in it and all the cool things you can do with that. And there's some of the hidden features in there which let you have a mobile app be the front end or even output JSON packets with just a simple change there. So also we'll look at the ContentStore as a way of storing custom settings, which is better than using a database. And Gavin will explain why that is. And we'll also be looking at themes, which are out in ContentBox and what you can do with them. Lots of cool stuff there. And then Gavin will be revealing some of the new stuff in ContentBox 4.0 that is going to be unleashed during the conference. So welcome, Gavin.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's come back to that. What exactly is ContentBox? Because not everyone uses it. And why would you want to use it?
Well, ContentBox is Ortus's creation. It's basically a content management system for ColdFusion. So over the years, we've obviously built plenty of websites for ourselves at Ortus, but also for clients along the way as well. And we were not really happy with the previous content management systems around. And instead of building our own little apps every time, Luis Mahano, of course, decided to build ContentBox. So it's been out in the market for several years now, and we've made a lot of changes in the last couple of years. I came on as a content evangelist about 2 years ago now, and so I'm in charge of getting the word out about it, but also one of the team members in actually building it. So Luis and myself are hard at work working on ContentBox, and like you say, we use that for all of our order sites now and a lot of the clients. And it's a great content management system. It has all the features of ColdBox because it's built on top of ColdBox and supports ColdBox modules, but also itself is a modular app too. So the admin, the UI, the core of ContentBox is actually 3 different modules that get installed when you install ContentBox. And it has all the features like, users, roles, permissions. It has pages and blog posts and a media manager, and there's a lot of great features out there, and we're adding more and more all the time. So we think it's a great content management system, and it's getting better all the time, and we're adding more themes, we're adding more plugins and widgets, and it's just a great base. I mean, I don't really build any apps now without it because it has all that built-in everything, basically. It has the users, the roles, permissions, the administrative interface allows you to add menus and items into it. So, almost every website or app you build needs all that, so why not just build on top of it, and then using the ColdBox modules that you can just plug straight in or build on its own. I mean, it's just a great starting point. So, in a nutshell.
Well, thank you. So if one of the listeners wanted to try this out, what is it going to cost them?
It's free. It's completely open source and free. If you're using CommandBox, our CLI, you can install it in one line. You could just do install ContentBox-installer, and you'll have the new version, which is 3.5, installed in seconds. Then you just type start, and then away you go. You got a new ContentBox server up and running on your machine. And you can even try it right away by using the embedded H2 server as part of the package. So you don't even have to worry about setting up a server. You can just have it install and start playing with it.
Wow. So powerful CMS, and it's all open source. So if people find issues or want to add features, they can do that and share them with the community.
Yep, exactly. It's all written in ColdFusion, obviously, but we have a little ForgeBox set up there, so you can actually add modules and widgets. So if you wanted to get a Facebook widget to show your feed or something on the site, you can go to ForgeBox and find it and install it. Or if you wanted to do something else with Twitter or add some other features, you can do that easily through the ForgeBox, which is CommandBox's repository for all the packages. So you can install them and away you go.
So ContentBox now has an API. Why would you add an API to ContentBox?
Well, that's the thing. It kind of already had one, and most people don't know about it. And so the session I'm doing, ContentBox API Unleashed, actually sort of shows you what's already there that you probably didn't even know about. the main reason we have it is obviously today everyone's moving mobile, more API based. So it's just sort of a natural progression. And the last few years we've been doing into the box. We've had this mobile app, and we're like, why don't we just use ContentBox to deliver the content? So inside a ContentBox, we actually store all of our data in a content store, and it's a hierarchical system of displaying our data. And if you go to the into the Box website and you go to the speakers or the sessions, all of that data is actually little snippets from our content store that gets pulled out via API calls and internally and displayed on the page. So when we build our mobile app, it just basically says, hey, ContentBox, give me a list of sessions on this day. Hey, give me the list of speakers, give me their photos, etc. And the API responds to that. So the same content can be used inside your website, inside your mobile app, or whatever you want, because it's just an API. And so we've got some nice features built into it now already. And like I say, some things you might not even know about. So I don't want to give too much away, but it's as simple as changing a file extension.
So if you're using this to output JSON, why would what would you be doing with that? What cool things might you be doing?
Well, maybe you have something where you've got something fancier at your office or whatnot. You maybe have a screen presentation, so you could actually show your latest like news events on a big display screen outside your office. If you're at a conference, you could, have different information shown up there. We could actually set up into the box a little speaker sort of profile spotlight, and we could basically have a little app that just goes out and pulls a speaker randomly out of our list and displays them on the big screen. Anything like that is simple enough to do. And it's all about devices. Something wants to talk to your back end. Exposing an API makes it real easy, and we don't just do JSON. We can export as XML or whatever you want. Pretty much, there's several different formats you can export or access the API through. Just JSON is sort of the most common one these days. Everyone thinks REST API, and JSON are the same, and that's fine. And obviously, we support that.
Cool. So part of ContentBox is the content store, where you can store custom settings and fields in there. Why would you do that rather than just putting that stuff in a database?
Well, obviously you can access the database. ContentBox is built on ORM and it's built on top of the database. So when you're building a module or something, you may want to create some ORM objects and everything, and that's great. But we wanted to make it easy to add data to the database or add content into your website without having to worry about, do I have to go create some CFCs and ORM objects, or let me go create these database tables. If you're having this on multiple, services, you got, maybe staging production, you don't want to mess around with it. We just made it simple enough to store this data inside ContentBox, and it stores it in a database, but it just abstracts that away for you. So it's a content store. And it's just like, a blog post or a page, but the content store items don't have a normal output. So instead of being a blog post or a page with certain other settings, it's sort of the base piece. You have a title, you have a slug, you have a description, and the main body of the page, and a few other settings, but it doesn't have the specifics of those other types. Then you can use it how you want. You can add a couple extra custom fields for whatever you want, and basically treat it like a custom content type. So that's what we do. So with speakers, sessions, they're all just content types, and we basically link them together using their slugs, and that's sort of a nice way to do that. And if you come into the box, you'll learn a little more about what we're planning in 4.0, which is our custom content types, which actually builds on top of the content store, and it even stores the settings for how the content store works inside the content store. So you got a little inception going on there, which is pretty cool, we think.
It does sound cool. So are there any other 4.0 features you can mention that you're coming up? Or?
Yeah, most people that are using ContentBox now, the big thing is, they've obviously used other CMSs here and there. And one of the big things that people talk about is the support for images. Obviously, we have our own media store. You can upload images, and we just recently added some options for editing images. So now you can do cropping and that type of stuff all inside the media library, which is nice. but a lot of people want, thumbnails for different things in different sizes. So when you add a blog post now, you can choose your featured image. So you can select an image, but by default, ContentBox hasn't previously resized images to thumbnail sizes or banner sizes or whatnot. And so we're basically working on that right now, that we're going to have image sizes. You can set your small, medium, and large image sizes. And we're even looking at ways that modules, when you install them, can register an image size. And so when you create an image, it'll actually, resize that appropriately. So if your module requires a certain size image for its banners, then it can register that, and then all the images can be resized appropriately. So that's another big one that a lot of people have been asking for. And 4.0, actually, we have a lot of big stuff that we've just done in 3.5. So 4.0, we're still out there, but like I said, at Into the Box, we'll be talking a little bit about the roadmap and what we're planning for 4.0, and adding more and more multi-tenant features is another thing, and also overrides, trying to make it easier for you to override themes and override modules easily without having to go 3 or 4 layers deep inside your site. We're trying to pull out all the custom code out of the content box to make it more user-friendly for those who are actually diving into the code.
That sounds like a good idea, because that way when a new release comes out, it won't break your code.
Exactly, and we already did make a lot of changes for that with 3.5. The big thing is to change the installer. So as I said before, you could do install ContentBox-installer, and it would actually install your code. But what we did is we completely reorganized the dependency structure and everything to make it more standalone and more separate. So that's a big change there. But you can actually install just the site code, or you can just install just ContentBox. So maybe you already have a ColdBox app. If you just want to install ContentBox into that app, you just now say install ContentBox, and it'll actually install that piece, just the module, into it, not the entire site, not the entire structure, but just that ContentBox module, because ContentBox is just a module running on a ColdBox app. So as simple as that.
And for those who don't know what ColdBox is, it's a framework. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the equivalent to, Rails for Ruby or whatnot. It's a big framework with a lot of features in it. We've stripped it down to be core plus modules now. So for the longest time, everybody said ColdBox is too big. It does everything. It's a kitchen sink. And while that's true, it can do everything. It doesn't require you to. So by changing the structure to be basically a small core with lots of little module plugins, people are, basically pleasantly surprised how small it is, how quick it is. And if you wanted to do validation, or if you wanted to do ORM or whatnot, you can just basically add that plugin in. But previously, people were thinking you had to install everything. You had to slow down your site because ColdBox was the kitchen sink of the the ColdFusion community. But it's not like that. It's super quick. We run things at millisecond speeds for our framework pages and everything, and it's great. So I mean, the beauty is too, it's like a lot of ColdFusion developers have this problem, and I had the same thing for a long time too, where it's like you'd basically reinvent the wheel because you didn't know how something worked, or you didn't know where to find it, and so you would basically build your own version or whatnot, and everyone has their own content management system they've built. Everyone's done it. But why build your own when you can use the expertise of everyone in the community working on something like ContentBox? I mean, we've got some crazy smart people contributing to it, not just the people at Ortus, but other people in the community too. They've got the best caching solutions, they've got the best database structures, they've got all the interceptors and the themes and everything else. I mean, they've solved the problem. They've solved it many times, and they've incorporated this code. So why try and do it yourself? Because it's not going to be as good. And if you want to make something better, it's open source. We're welcome to people contributing and making it better. And some of the best stuff we've done, like the last file editor, that wasn't done by an Ortus member. That was someone from the community who contributed it, and they did some great work. It's really awesome. I'm excited to have that too. So
cool. So you mentioned themes earlier. Why would you want to use a theme in ContentBox? Because I know they only came out in the current 3 version. So.
Previously, they were called layouts, and layouts were simple enough. They matched a lot of how ColdBox layouts kind of worked. So it was a nice wrapper for you to be able to get your sort of a layout around your theme, or sorry, around your page, so it looked like something else. I mean, it was They worked. They worked okay, but themes are just sort of a step up, and not just the language, because most people use the term themes as like a collection of, you know, layout pages as well as fonts and styles and images or whatever. So that was part of it, but we also upgraded them too. So now they're not just a layout, which is pretty simple. A theme is actually almost module-like. So a theme can actually include modules. So when you install a theme, it can install plugins and everything else as well. So it can actually depend on these modules, and it can include them. So the themes are really powerful. You know, we have build processes for our themes, and that's something you could learn about at Into the Box, where you can actually have, you know, compiled JavaScript and compiled CSS, you know, do all the updates through Bower or whatnot, and have a powerful output. And so, you know, the first thing you do when you install a content management system is you either go choose a theme or you customize the one you have. So, I mean, everyone changes the theme, you know, like that's the first thing you do. So themes are very important, and we've got some really nice official themes that we've built, you know, based on some of the latest designs out there. And obviously you can build your own themes. So the other session that I'm doing Into the Box is about, you know, developing themes for ContentBox. So you learn a little bit about, you know, how to customize one that exists already, but also how to make your own ones as well. So you'll learn about, you know, layouts and views and templates and how they work, and you'll learn about, you know, including modules or not, and all that. So it's like, if you're going to work with ContentBox, you need to learn about themes. This is the place to do it.
And I read that themes have events in them as well. What would you do with those?
Well, that's one of the cool things with ColdBox is interceptors, you know. So what you can do is, at a certain point in time, you can basically, the system will announce an event. So maybe you have something like, you know, open sidebar might be an event. So whenever you're showing a sidebar on your site, it's going to announce to the rest of the ContentBox install, hey, the sidebar is starting. So maybe you want to put the into the box speaker button there. So you can basically have a little bit of code that listens for that and injects that logo for you automatically. You know, you can have something at the bottom of the page where right before the body closes, you want to put your Google Analytics. So you can just basically say, oh, so right before the page closes, I want to insert all my Google and my other JavaScripts or whatever I need. So instead of having to go and insert this code into every single layout that uses it, ContentBox allows you just to put it inside a little event handler basically, and says, when this is called from the theme, inject this code, and it'll do that. So it's just like ColdBox. The interception points are amazing. It takes the control from, you know, in the file level out into a separate point of view. So it's just a really powerful feature. And if you haven't used interceptors with ColdBox before, then you're missing out. I know that that's like one of the big cool things. So I love them. I mean, they just make life easy for everything, for security and logging, and you know, we use them for the APIs for security and that type of thing. So, I mean, the interceptors are really cool, and that's basically tied into the theme.
And then if you're creating a theme, can you expose settings in it so people can customize it who are using it? Or?
Yep, exactly. That's exactly how it works. And what we've done recently with the latest changes in 3.1 and 3.5 is we've actually updated all the theme settings. So instead of just having a few settings where you can maybe change a couple of the button names or something on a couple of sections, you can actually, you know, go a lot further. So we have it where you can basically change your homepage layout as far as maybe put a hero image and some text or whatnot. We actually have spaces where you can choose the color, so you actually have color pickers in the theme settings. And with interception points, like you just mentioned with the themes, you can actually have a custom interception point for on your theme settings. So if you want to use some crazy, you know, jQuery UI like tool for picking images or cropping stuff, you could actually insert it into the theme settings form on the fly. So if our theme settings aren't good enough, you can make your own basically, which is pretty cool. But as the theme developer, you know, we know what all these theme settings mean. So when you output them on the screen, everyone's trying to use them. A lot of the times, like, wait a minute, what does this mean? And so we've added simple little things like little tooltips that you can just display, or little modal windows that can pop up to give more information. So as someone who's using the theme now, you have options for that. So as a theme developer, we've given you the tools to make it easy to do help, modals, etc. And we found that that helped a lot because, obviously we built the themes. We know what these things mean, right? Sometimes. But this makes it easier for those using it too. So we're really trying to build up the themes and make them more powerful. Because like I said, that's the first thing everyone does, right? Is install a theme or customize a theme because they want to make it their own. So
yeah. And you mentioned modules earlier. Are they like little widgets that you put in the theme, or are they more than that? Or
terminology is interesting because every CMS has a little different terminology, but we follow the ColdBox stuff down. So ColdBox has modules, which is a grouping of code which has its own configuration and a set of handlers and views, etc. So that's basically normal MVC. And then inside that module, inside ContentBox, you have additional things. So widgets, like you said, basically a little piece of code that will display something in the theme. So a module can have several widgets, and it can have ORM objects and other things too. But a widget by itself is basically a function that it generates some HTML or whatnot to put in your page. So a module itself may have multiple widgets. And you may have a social media module, for example, that has a Twitter widget and a Facebook widget, etc. You can install that module, and then all those widgets become available. But yeah, inside the theme, you can add your own widgets, or add modules which have widgets, or install modules that have widgets. So you got a lot of options there.
And as well as these sessions, is there a workshop day on ContentBox? Or?
Yes, there is. And that's the cool thing about Into the Box now that we're broken away from the other conferences. We have the 2 full days of the conference, but we have that workshop day as well. And so we're providing a ContentBox workshop the day before. It's a full day. Myself and Esmeralda, who's one of the theme designers and programmers with ContentBox. She's actually going to be helping me lead that workshop as well as the theme session. But that full day is actually free. So we're offering that as a free option. We know that ContentBox is a great tool, and we really want to share that with everybody. So we're making that free for you to come. There are limited spaces. So if you guys are coming into the box and you haven't decided on a workshop, choose quickly because it's free and it's filling up fast. We're going to make that workshop a very hands-on, friendly workshop with, we're hoping to keep it to like 12 people, 10, 12 people, so we can really, get that one-on-one time as well. But we're focusing on the whole, setting up ContentBox and how you would get started with it, but also how to convert a legacy site. So we've got one of the community members that let us be the guinea pig. So he's our guinea pig, and Charlie Earhart, obviously a big member of the ColdFusion community, has a great site with lots of blog content and amazing presentation and article indexes, as well as the UGTV, which has thousands of sessions in there. And we're basically converting him over to a ContentBox site. We're customizing his modules. We're importing his blog from Mango blog into ContentBox, and we're doing a lot of different stuff. And so you'll basically learn how could you bring your current site into ContentBox. So we walk through those different steps and looking in detail of how to do themes and modules and everything. So if you guys are coming into the box and you want to learn ContentBox, that's the best way. Basically, you get me and Esmeralda with you guys for a whole day, learn about everything you could possibly want to know about ContentBox. So hopefully you guys can come and get the most out of it. We want to get ContentBox out there, and more people using it, it's only going to get better.
Cool. So let's change gears a little bit. Why are you proud to use ColdFusion?
Well, I've used ColdFusion for a long time. So I started back in university back in the 90s. We had a consultant come in, and our job, we were the first e-business team for the university. Our job was to pull the crazy web world of the 1990s, and every department in the university had their own crazy themes and designs. So we basically were set up with the task of creating this, a big website, try and get some continuity, consistency for everybody, and bring them all together. So we learned ColdFusion and back in the day of Alaire and everything, and it was just great. Like, I'd use PHP and everything at the same time, and it was just amazing to get started. And obviously over time other languages had picked up and got popular or whatnot, but I can still do everything I've ever done with ColdFusion. There's issues we had with some tooling possibly where we got left behind a little bit, but I don't know if you've noticed or not, but Brad and Luis and them, everyone at Ortus has been doing some amazing things. And now we have package management. And I don't even know how it'd work without ContentBox anymore. Just being able to install a module or spin up a site, or I just couldn't function without it. So, it's come a long way, especially in the last couple of years. And that's why I'm so proud to work with Ortus and work with ColdFusion. And, unlike most people who are just moving on from ColdFusion, we're making it better. We're helping all those companies out there that have all the legacy sites that they just can't afford to just switch over to Ruby. They can't go to Node. That's just too much work. So we're helping them bring their code into the future, making it OO and making it performant and learning how to cluster and scale and, how to move it into containerization and to work with the cloud and everything else. So, ColdFusion's got its issues, but every language does. And one of the biggest things that we notice when we're as Ortus, Brad and Luis and everyone is going to other conferences, like DevNexus, etc., to look at other languages and frameworks, because that's what we do to try and make ColdBox better. They're noticing that they're behind us in some ways. ColdFusion may have its problems, but it's also got its advantages too. So I've used it for a long time, and I still see a positive future with it, even if we're only converting legacy for a lot of things. I think once people realize, you can write command box scripts in it, you can do server rollouts with it, you can use it in Docker. It's got a lot of pros too. So
yeah, maybe you could say it's not your father's ColdFusion, as they used to say about a certain automobile.
Yeah, exactly. It's different, and like I say, we've caught up on all the things that everyone hated in 2012, and I wonder how many of those people that left 3-4 years ago, that left ColdFusion to go to other languages, might have stuck around if they realized, what we had coming. If we had command box, we had package management, we had all these build tools and everything, we had Docker containerization and all that, like maybe they wouldn't have moved on.
Well, hard to say, but as long as people are excited about ColdFusion and new people are coming in and using it, I think ColdFusion will stay alive.
Yep, I think so too. At our user groups, I've basically been showing them command box and stuff and not telling them what language is built in, and they don't know. Like, they can't tell. Until you tell them that it's ColdFusion, most people think it's awesome what you're doing. So it's a stigma, and there's a lot of things that we can do to make ColdFusion better. And, and at Ortus, that's one of the big things too, is, we're committed to ColdFusion. We're not leaving, so that's one of our things that we discuss often is what can we do to make ColdFusion and the community better. So,
well, let me ask you a question like that. What would it take to make ColdFusion more alive this year?
This year, that's tough. Obviously,
that's why I put this year on it, because if I just said what would it take to make ColdFusion better, you might say, well, in 2030, it'll be doing this cool stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just education that's getting out there, I know Adobe has gone to some other conferences and everything, but how much are they really pushing it? The certifications aren't there right now. We've talked about that too. Education is a big thing. We need to make it easy for people to get moved over, and that's the thing too. Like, starting new developers and trying to teach them ColdFusion is not the easiest thing, but it's something we've got to focus on. But at the same time, a lot of companies, they actually find a lot of success in bringing a PHP developer or an ASP developer and then showing them ColdFusion, because it's not that different from JavaScript and the syntax and the structure and everything else. It's not that tough for a developer to convert, and usually you'll get a much better developer that way because they understand programming. It's just syntax, like it's just a conversion instead. And so, at Ortus, we're actually working on Ortus University. We're making courses for new developers as well as how to convert from other languages over to try and make it easier for them, because that's the big thing that we see is, one is image, but the other thing is bodies, in the community. Like, how can we get more people for those jobs, and for the people in the community, how you can find them jobs. So, like, that's a big thing for us, is to, to help train, support, teach, and then, obviously, the more we're doing, maybe we got to be a little more vocal too, because these days, I don't know if you noticed or not, but everyone's like, oh, I found a site that's running ColdFusion. That's the site that has CFM still in the name, it's still in the URL. But I don't know how many sites that we've built, but you don't ever see CFM, you never see the file extension. So how many sites out there are ColdFusion that nobody even knows about? We're not making a big deal up about it, so most people think it's not there. They just assume it's something else. So, maybe we should just encourage people to say, hey, this is built with ColdFusion or whatnot, or these are the clients that we're putting out. I mean, because we got a lot of people building ColdFusion sites, but we're just not real vocal about it. Maybe that's part of the shame that ColdFusion developers have. And
well, I know you're going to be, one of the things you're going to do in the keynote is addressing that ColdFusion shame and helping us get rid of it.
Yeah, that's the thing of Ortus. We care about the community we're in. Like I said, we're not leaving. We're doubling down, and that's one of the things we wanted to talk about. To discuss with the community and figure out. These are the problems. These are the myths that we can, debunk, and how can we as a community and, do this. And, that's one of the big things too, is like, Ray Camden said something about Ortus single-handedly keeping ColdFusion alive by building these tools and stuff. But, there's other people that have to step up too. We have to do it as a community. And so, in the keynote, we have a section about that, the past, present, and future of ColdFusion, and, what we intend to do. And we invite you guys to help. Let's make ColdFusion great again.
Exactly. And have people realize it. And that's why I launched this ColdFusion Alive podcast, because I want people to realize ColdFusion is alive. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that's the thing, is most people don't know about it. Maybe that's, not a bad thing, but if you're trying to get community attention, like, that isn't a good thing.
Mm-hmm. So what are you looking forward to at the Into the Box conference?
Well, first thing is people. Whenever I go to a conference, it's my opportunity to catch up with friends, new and old, but also just to talk geek, talk shop. And I love that. It's like, we only have limited number of developers in town here and everything. And, I enjoy getting together with all of them, whether they're mobile developers or Ruby developers or Node or whatnot. But I mean, it's great to get together all these ColdFusion developers and tell stories and, share those war stories and everything. And that's great. I mean, and like I said, there's a lot of smart people in the community, and a lot of smart people are going to be there. We got a great number of, speakers. So I'm going to enjoy that. And, having that time to be able to sit down and chat while you're eating. I know it sounds funny, but it's like people just sort of relax and you really get to connect with them a lot better. And that's the thing with a conference, you get up early and you have breakfast for everybody. And then by the end of the night, you're having a late dinner and, just chit-chatting around. Everyone's got their computers out, hacking or talking or whatever. And it's just really good. It's, it's just a great time with people. And so that's like the big thing for me, is that. Obviously, the ContentBox workshop is a big thing too. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm really wanting to get that time with people that are new to it to see what else we can do to make it better. I say, because that's the thing, is we want to make a tool that we all use and love, but also we get more people using it. It's only going to get better, and the more things we have, the more widgets we have, the better it will be. And I think we're at a place now that we can really build on top of it. So that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Cool. So if people wanted to find you after listening to this podcast, how would they connect with you?
Okay. Well, if you go to www.gavinpickin.com, you'll see a nice little profile page, and it has links to my blog, my Twitter, my LinkedIn, my Facebook. So that's sort of the best way to get a hold of me. Obviously, if you go to ortussolutions.com, we have plenty of things there as far as more information about ContentBox. And if you go to events, you'll see some of the road shows that we've done in the previous Ortus Developer Week. So you can see some videos and find out more about what we're doing there. So, and don't forget, enterthebox.org, so you can check out the conference and find out a little more about the conference there.
Great. Well, thanks for being with us today, Gavin.
Oh, no problem. It's a pleasure. Always good talking about ColdFusion, and I'm hoping to see a lot of you guys out there into the box. Looking forward to it.